Welcome. I'm glad you're here. For those of you that don't know who I am Lisa Perdillo, and I am really excited to share with you some information and some practices around breathing and the diaphragm. And I absolutely love when I can merge and unify the information about the body and science with our spiritual nature. And so I'm just really excited to share with you how utilizing the breath alone can help change your nervous system response and get you out of those states of a constant overwhelm, stress, anxiety type of feeling. So most of us in our society, the way that we live, the way that we choose to live, tends to be in a state of constantly doing and constantly, having all these list of things we need to get done in a day. And our nervous system has two pathways when it comes to how we respond or react to situations. And we have this beautiful sympathetic part of our autonomic nervous system that allows us to prepare if there's a threat, and to get us moving and to get us taking action in a particular direction. And then we have this other part of our nervous system that allows us to rest, for us to have good digestion, for us to slow down, to not have to feel like we have to hurry up and get somewhere. And so most of us are in a chronic state of our sympathetic nervous system. And so even though our everyday life is not truly presenting a threat to our system, it's being perceived as a threat. And so it kind of keeps us locked in to this chronic state of stress. And so when we are in a stress response versus a relaxed response, how we breathe is completely different. And so in a stress response, we tend to breathe in a shorter rhythm, and we also breathe more in the upper chest. We don't really feel our full capacity of our lungs, because we need to get our heart rate going, we need to get everything pumping so that we can move and take action. And so the breath pattern is very different. And so throughout our day, if we are in that chronic state of stress, typically it's the shallow breath, it's the short breath, it's the quicker breath. And this can contribute to things like increasing the heart rate and fatigue on the adrenal glands, and just so many other things that can happen to the body when we're staying with that particular breath pattern. And for most of us, we're not even aware of how we're even breathing. And so just becoming aware of your breath alone to see what your current state, I don't know if I'd call it natural state, but your current state of breathing. Are you breathing deep into the belly? Are you breathing shallow? And so just checking in throughout the day to see where you are. Are you mouth breathing? Typically when we're in the sympathetic, we mouth breathe. And when we're in the parasympathetic, we will usually take the inhale through the nose. So just noticing throughout the day where you are. And so the only part of our nervous system, our autonomic nervous system, that we can alter is the breath. And just simply by changing the pattern of how you're breathing can shift you out of the sympathetic and into your parasympathetic nervous system. And again, this is where your body can restore itself, it can rest, it can digest, it's relaxed, it's not in a state of threat. And so much beauty and regeneration can happen when we allow ourselves to shift into that parasympathetic state. And so with that, both are very important and are vital to how we live and how we survive, but we don't have to be constantly in this chronic state of stress. We can learn to shift out of that, and one way, there's many ways, but one way is through the breath. And so learning how to do what's called diaphragmatic breathing is one way to stimulate that parasympathetic part of your nervous system so that you can get into a more calm and restorative breath. And this can also help you to retrain your natural breath throughout the day so that your body is receiving the information that it's safe, there's nothing to be concerned about, there's no threat. So just this breath alone. So for me, that is just so powerful and so amazing that there's this invisible force that we can take into our body that can shift how we feel and how the literal organs of the body is responding to that signal that it's safe and that we're not under any type of threat. So the diaphragm. So your diaphragm is the muscle that's kind of running right here, right at the lower part of the rib cage. And this part of your body is holding usually a lot of tension. And so we tend to be contracted in this space. And that's also part of the reason why we tend to breathe more in the upper part and not into the lower part of the body. So with the diaphragm, just by practicing diaphragmatic breathing, it can start to soften and release the tension that's held there. And there's a lot of important parts of your body that go through the diaphragm. And so it can take a lot of stress off the body by just introducing a sense of relaxation in this one muscle here. So with some diaphragmatic breathing, if you would like to practice with me, you can put one hand on your belly, one hand on your chest, and then I want you to just notice how you're breathing right now. Noticing if you're breathing in and out of your mouth, your nose. Noticing if the breath is in the upper chest. Or if it's in the lower belly. And just my breath right now while I'm recording this video, I feel like I'm only breathing in my upper chest. I'm not really breathing into my belly. So just noticing that. When we're talking, when we're sharing, maybe when we're getting in front of a camera, it can kind of activate different parts of the nervous system. So I'm just witnessing that within myself. But just notice what's there for you. And then when you feel ready, we can begin to practice with breathing a little bit deeper into the belly. So just recommending breathing in through the nose. That also helps stimulate the parasympathetic nervous system, or that rest and restore. And so breathing in through the nose and filling the belly, the lower belly, like a balloon. Bring it up into the chest, and then just gently letting it go. And so in through the nose, filling up the belly, bringing into the chest, and letting it go. And if you have been, like I said, most of us have been in a breath pattern that's more in the upper part of the chest, this can sometimes feel a little maybe inaccessible or a little bit tight. And if you are feeling any tension in the diaphragm, I don't want you to try to breathe and push past it just to fill the belly as big as it can go, but to notice and listen to your body and only breathe into like a mild tension, not any pain, just again, really listening to your body. And so just finding your edge, finding how far the belly can fill, and that being enough. And so breathing into the belly again, bringing it into the chest, and letting it go. And also when you are breathing diaphragmatically like we just did, not only are you filling the belly, but you're also expanding the rib cage. And so the rib cage is kind of expanding in all directions. And when it's doing that, it's allowing for the lungs to fill completely, to get more into the fullness of your capacity of your lungs, to inhale all that oxygen. So it's not only just the belly, it's also opening up the rib cage and allowing for the lungs to take in as much oxygen as it can. And so again, just breathing in. And again, if this helps, to have the hand on the belly and on the chest. So breathing into the belly, opening up the rib cage, into the chest, and letting it go. And if you want, I can turn sideways here. And so from the side, again, one hand on the belly, one hand on the chest. And so you can kind of see, it doesn't have to be fully expanded way out here, but just noticing where that edge is for you and just filling up the breath as full as you can, and then allowing it to just softly let go of the exhale. And so with the diaphragmatic breath, if you would, you can count the breath if you like. And so trying to get the breath even, maybe 5 or 6 counts, inhaling and then slowly exhaling. And sometimes a count of 5 or 6 can feel like a little too long at first. Then go ahead and do maybe 4 counts. And if counting gets overwhelming for your mind, you can just let that go and just take a slow, deep breath into the belly, the chest, and then letting it go. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed learning about the diaphragm and the breath, and perhaps you can practice diaphragmatic breathing for 5 to 10 minutes a day or more if that feels good to you, and then also just really noticing where your breath is, and then perhaps noticing your state of being, if you're feeling stressed or if you're feeling relaxed, and noticing where your breath is. I hope this serves you. Have a beautiful day.